Contrast uncut, yeah, you know that's us. Where we only speak the real and the real rock with us. Where we motivate the people and politic on success. Oh no, we ain't DJ Khaled, but they swearing we the best. Contrast uncut, contrast uncut, contrast uncut, contrast uncut.
What's happening? It's Contrast Uncut. It's season 4, episode 21. Man, big shout outs to Uncle Snoop's Army and Bobby D Presents. I appreciate you, brothers. It's your host, Zylo, aka DJ $1 like I won some money. And I'm trying to stop saying that, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a really, really incredibly talented special guest. You know, she's from the Panama City, Panama. She's a Grammy and ASCAP award-winning singer, songwriter, record producer, music publisher, A&R executive, composer, and television personality. She has so many titles, you think she needs a whole building for everything she does. You may have seen her work or her appearance on television as a coach on X Factor or La Banda, and she's also had many songs featured on major motion pictures, television shows, film soundtracks, and radio spots, as well as national, international commercial campaigns. Her songwriting is for the greatest of greats when it comes to this music. She's even done singing background vocals on some of these hits she's helped pen herself. You know, so that also means the pen doesn't run far from the tongue, and those both are very powerful. She's wrote for the king and queen of pop, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston in respective singles. And, you know, she's charted and charted and charted when it comes to the billboards, whether it's for her perspective genre or if it's for the Hot 100 or Hot 200. This lady has done her thing, working with Kenny Lattimore, Charlie Wilson, Jaheim, Luke Cale recently, to international sensation Nicky Jam. She's put work in when it comes to this industry, and if you don't know who I'm talking about by now, it's all good. We got all episode to chop it up with. Eritza wrote that, aka Eritza. Everybody, how are you doing?
I'm great. I don't even know who you're talking about. Like, all of that is for me.
Oh yeah, that's what it has your name attached to, and what you sort of get some type of royalty from. You know, they track that stuff.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I am honored to be in your presence. It is a beauty. I love that you have those beautiful hardwares on your wall so that when you walk around, you get to have that reflection of, yeah, I did that. So when people like me come around, it'd be like, you know what? It's just the reflection in the mirror.
You know what? It's very like, it's one of the laws of feng shui. I'm not like, I want to be more into feng shui, but it's one of the laws of feng shui. When you come into somebody's space, there should be something up on the wall that reflects who they are and what they do, so you can act accordingly when you're in their space. That's why when you go into the doctor's office or lawyer's office, they have all of their degrees on the wall. And while you're talking to them, you're like, wow, you went to Princeton? Wow, you did, So you went to Africa, even like things like when you travel around the world, artifacts from different countries, like it's important to know that the person is well-traveled so you can address them accordingly. And then you can build off of that too.
Yes. You're giving trade secrets, cheat codes for the youngsters. Cheat codes. If you ain't learned nothing from the very beginning, she just put me up on game. I didn't know the stuff on my wall is feng shui. I thought it was just represents myself, but feng shui sounds way better.
Yes.
So Arita, I gotta know, what's a normal 24 hours for you? Because, time's the most finite thing we have on this earth. And I gotta make sure I tell you, I appreciate you coming on the show. But we want to know, what's a normal 24 for you?
A normal 24, that can range from a full, I have a 4-year-old. So that can range from a full mom day where like I'm pulling my hair out of my head, chasing a toddler all day, but it's always mixed in with interviews, sessions, full mom day. I always say I can't be you have a child, you know, you can't be a part-time parent. You got to be a full-time parent and do whatever it is that you want to do on the side, or not even on the side. It has to be parallel to being a parent, everything that you do. So it's sometimes it's 2 sessions a day, 3 sessions a day. You know, it's just full of music, love, and family. 24 hours for me. It's full. I have a very tight-knit family. We're very close. I have a very tight-knit group of friends that I consider family. We're very close. A lot of them are in the music industry, and it's just music all day, sessions all day, ideas all day, you know, just bouncing off business ideas and, you know, kids, and it's just an amazing, you know, family, loving friends.
See, that is the perfect way to have it. You know, if you can have your family, you can have the love around you, surround you, and then you can have your friends, and then they're also your colleagues and who you work with. Oh, that's just a winning roster right there.
It's win-win. Yeah.
And you know, I gotta admit, when you say you pull your hair out over your kids, if you notice, I don't have that much hair because my kids drive me crazy myself. But for you, at least when you pull all it just gets a little bit more straighter, and you really get to see how long your hair is, because we know that quality of hair is not going to be easy to pull out. So you just stretching us right now.
But yeah, it's just, you gotta love. How old are your kids?
I have a 6-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter.
Look, my hat, my hair, everything goes off to you because a 6 and a 4-year-old, you said?
Yes.
So you know half of what I'm going through, but you're going through a whole nother 6s that they're just fully talking. Their ideas are on another level. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Boy and a girl?
Yes, I'm very blessed. I have a ton of time with my wife, so I don't want to take no credit without giving credit where it's due.
You know what's about us.
All the power to the queens in the world, because the world will not run without you, because the princesses have to come up and have something to admire and to be inspired by.
That's
and
beautiful.
My wife definitely pushes the line. I know I do help out. I'm not going to knock myself, but at the same time, I got to give her credit, because days can be crazy, and she will be the rock in the land that keeps everything meeting along so the world can have some water.
God bless her, and I mean, God give her all the energy that she needs to keep your family, you know, and your kids.
I want to make sure I tell you now, give you your flowers for being a dedicated mother and wife. That is, you know, one thing that is not easily achieved in this industry is to be a parent in this industry, and then take on the weight of also being a spouse. That's another struggle, trying to, you know, it's another personality. It's so much that goes into it, on top of trying to provide for so many others of what your gift is, and providing us with that gift that we all receive and love. And, you know, as you continue to give it to us, we keep our ear twisted just a little bit to the ear that hears better, just so that, you know, we keep the music flowing to it.
I love your quotes. You have such good quotes. You said keep your head twisted to the ear that hears better. I love that. I might use that in a song.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
I love that.
You know, I promise you, a lot of this stuff is not written down. It just comes with the energy of the flow of how it goes. So, yes, like I've always been told I could freestyle, but I can't freestyle music. I could freestyle conversations and talk about anything.
Definitely have a knack for this. Like I've quoted you in my head like 3 times already.
That's dope, because you are a real songwriter.
That's what people always say. What inspires you as, you know, as a songwriter to write songs like this? Conversations with people, with human beings, feelings. You know, you're a dad, you're a husband, you're an artist, you do this, you love conversation. So this is extremely inspiring.
So I have a quote that's not mine that inspired me, but when I see the quote, I see you. And, you know, I could be wrong, I could be right, but I want to know how it relates to you. And so here's my quote. There's no greater agony than bearing on untold stories inside you. Maya Angelou.
There's no greater agony than bearing on stories told within you.
Untold stories inside you.
Well, to be a writer is to be brave.
Yes.
You know, because And you know what that equates to? Untold stories that bear pain within you, they hinder character. Because untold stories that are hidden within you, those are the most important stories, in my opinion, that need to be told. Those are the most important stories that people need to hear, that you grow from. Once that comes out of you, you become you go up a notch in spirit, you go up a notch on your belt. My whole thing is generations before me in my friendships, all of the people in my family and my friendships, all of the people that I see generations before me are very much that, like a Maya Angelou. Stories, untold stories within you should be told. I feel like it brings shame, it brings pain, it's like having a rock in your shoe and walking around with it. You know what I mean? So I feel like those are the most important stories that should be told. Like I try in my personal life, how that relates to me, I try to write everything. If it's not in a song, it's been told to a friend, it's been told to somebody in my family, to my spouse. I talk to my 4-year-old a lot about everything. I want her to get everything out, because when we live in our complete truth, that is when everything becomes aligned. And I want everybody to understand this. When you live in your complete truth, even your relationships align, your career will align, your bank account and your career opportunities will align.
Y'all hear that? Because I know I'll be the one that be in the dark clouds myself sometimes too. But you know what? That dark night has a brighter day every day. And, one of the things that's in those clouds is financial growth, financial separation, financial freedom. You just got to stay on course. I'm sorry. You said something that jumped out my chest, and I had to grab it before it just went away.
It's very much that. It's very much people will reach out to you. Like, okay, what if I never told anybody that I was Latina? There's a lot of people out there like that. Brown skin or white skin, very, very white, blue eyes, blonde hair, very European look or very African look, but you never know that they're Latino because they're trying to blend in with a certain box, or trying to do what they think society wants them to do. Or once you start living in your truth, people come out of the woodworks. I wouldn't have ever worked with Simon Cowell and been on TV every day if I wasn't a proud Latina. Like, I got that job because I spoke Spanish fluently, and I was from Panama. I was from a Latin country, 100%. Latin. They needed extreme fluidity. In Spanish, they needed a Latin character, and I got into the Psycho family because of it. I got to work on other Simon Cowell shows too. Right. But I would have never got in if I wasn't who I really am. You know what I mean? If I didn't claim to be who I really am. But everybody needs to, even if there's people that hide their sexuality as well. You come out the closet, you get TV shows, you get like if you're an artist, you know what I mean? Everything will align. Even if you're not in entertainment, your life, the people that are supposed to be in your life, that are supposed to support you, imagine having 100% pure support for who you 100% are. And everything that you have inside of you, all of your dark secrets, just if you were to put them out there, and people just, a solid group of people that love you for everything that you are. Those stories are supposed to be told 100%, Zylo, 100%.
So, when I think of great music, because you have definitely been a part of some great music and timeless music, I think that a lot of those timeless ingredients that go into those songs is the experience that people have, those emotions, the pain, the agony, the happy, the joy, the sad. All of those emotions combined into a song really creates relation. And then, that story of you telling it and being okay with cutting your arm open and letting that blood flow of words come to the listeners, you know, that's where I feel like the real growth and why people love certain records. Now you have some stuff of our current era that, you know, gets slipped through and slide through, you know, hits and Billboard charts, but people forget those elements relate to people regardless of what it is and what they're discussing. And that's, you know, the biggest thing I feel that, you know, music is all about. When I read this from Maya Angelou, it relates to you and my perspective, like I said, because I feel like, you know, you tell a lot of stories that are related to you and other people get to tell it. And then you also have a beautiful voice, so you get to fill in it as well. And then that's just, you know, I guess, you know, icing on the cake, the cherry on top.
Absolutely. Being able to, like you said, being able to sing what I write. There's a lot of songwriters that don't particularly sing, but being able to actually draw the picture myself is actually an amazing, it's an amazing feeling. And I feel like no songwriter can sing a song like, you know, like themselves. You won't ever hear the interpretation of a song better than the songwriter that wrote it. It doesn't even matter if the artist that's singing it has a greater voice or a more skillful voice. There's a certain feeling of like the egg came from that chicken. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I know every time I hear a songwriter, or I could tell who wrote it, especially if it's a songwriter that I love, or a rapper, you know. I was really shocked to know recently that Jay-Z wrote Dre Day, was it? Snoop and Dre, and when you hear it, it's 100%. It's just, that's Jay-Z's flow, 100%. Like, if Jay-Z, imagine hearing Jay-Z's demo, you would probably love it even more because, like I said, it's the chicken and the egg. It's the, you know, like the person who gave birth to the actual art. You know.
You know, well, in that sense, you're the one that's providing the potential energy of your vision. And your vision meets to what you see, what you think of, what you create. And then you're giving it off to see, okay, was it going to come to my vision? But at the end of the day, that's where the potential kicks in. And potential is just energy that's not meeting the where it's supposed to be. And so when you have that, you know, you're always going to have that, you know, it's not coming from the right place because it didn't come from me. And, you know, that's why we have the beautiful things like Neo elevating and becoming an incredible singer and songwriter from taking what he has and elevating. And then, I mean, we can go on and on to the other Beyonce writers, but you brought up something so important. A lot of people take neglect to the fact that rappers don't write all their own lyrics. If you go to my good friend Genius and you start typing in your favorite songs, you look up songwriters credits, you'll see her wonderful name and a ton of beautiful songs. But there's also a whole bunch of other names attached to these rappers that say that they don't have songwriters, that they don't have ghostwriters and whatnot. And, you know, the reality is that what works is works. You know, you can't knock the machine for being the machine. You just got to be okay with saying that, hey, this went like this. And a lot of people don't take that appreciation to your art and your craft because they like to leave people off the writers.
Right. And it's not about who wrote the song in its entirety. It's never about that. It's about giving credit where credit is due. If 10 people were in the studio that night, trust and believe that the vibe of every person that needed to be in that room made that record. A lot of people like to take most of the credit or fight over credit to split that shit. I don't know if I can curse.
Yes.
Split that equal, even across the board, and let's go make more money. Like, yeah, it's really a thing where, like, rap is art. Like, these records, I try to tell people, like, don't get it twisted. These records are just as sophisticated as an R&B record, with backgrounds and accents and melodies and harmonies and flows so sick that you can't even catch sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's extremely sophisticated pieces of work.
Yes.
So not like, you should never discredit any genre. Like, people ask me, is it different writing different genres? And it's absolutely no difference. It's a great melody will never die. A great lyric will never die. It will always remain classic. You know what I mean?
And see, you got to throw in there that rappers have really developed the punctualness of transitions and, you know, hitting pockets and sequences that, you know, that they didn't have in the beginning time. Only a few rappers was really hitting those pockets and sequences and really transitioning. Now everyone's doing it. You got to love how people are transitioning. It keeps the ADHD people like myself in tune. Like, ooh, what's going to come next? Ooh, I did not expect for him to slow it down. And then he broke it down. And then he sped it back up. And then he slowed it down just right in time before the hook came back in. Like, oh.
Yeah. It's, and then like to me, the sickest flow to me, like 10, like how do you have like 5 different flows in one 16 bar Biggie? Maybe it was, I always say like, cause he was Jamaican, he just had like this, so many different flows in one 16 bars. It was like 5 different flows, and it sounded so smooth. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He would just dip you into another flow and dip you into another flow and dip you into, you know, Jay-Z as well. You know what I mean? And like a Buster, all Jamaican, by the way. I don't know if you know, you got Bob Marley on your wall. Like they just, it's the land of flows. It's the land of flows. So, but yeah, it's every song, country, every song has to have this classic melody, a great melody, great theme, a story, amazing story, and relate to people. You know what I mean? And lyrics to go, you know?
As you are giving out the cheat code to books that people are supposed to read, and you go ahead and giving them the Cliff Notes version right now, I want to ask you something because it's so imperative that people understand this. Did the game choose you, or did you choose the game when it comes to this music?
The art of songwriting and singing chose me. I chose the game. Because I woke up as a 5-year-old. I didn't know there was a game, but I knew that I was gonna do this. You know, seeing Whitney, seeing Michael, there was nothing else for me. I was like, I'm gonna be a singer. I'm gonna write these type of songs. I want to be a part of it. How can I be a part of it? I mean, I bugged my mother every day of her life to find the hole that would lead me, what rabbit hole is going to lead me closer to be with them, close to them, do what they do, sound like that, do what they do. I mean, I could have been a dancer too. I ain't gonna dance for you now, but even watching Michael Jackson dance, like, how can I be that? You know what I mean? And that God put that inside of me. And I didn't choose that. But I chose this game. I chose to go from studio to studio to studio, from record label to record label to record label, you know, from song to song to song. I chose that. From genre to genre to genre. I chose that. You know, just like happiness is a choice, what you do in life is a choice. You know what I mean? To chase my dreams is a choice. Absolutely. You know, I could have been a teacher.
You still can.
Yeah.
Knock you.
You know what I mean? I'm kind of teaching a little now, but
you're giving a college course right now.
I do that from time to time. I go to universities and do like master classes. And I love doing that because I always say if my craft is whack, then I'm whack. Like if the craft of songwriting falls, like, you know, where are the new songwriters? Like it needs to keep going. New artists need to keep emerging for me to exist. You know what I mean? So I love to see new songwriters, new artists. I just worked with Lil and Ivy J on Atlantic, 2 really young, amazing R&B artists. Like I love that. I love seeing, especially in R&B specifically, because, you know, people were like, oh, R&B is dying, like whatever that means. Like R&B is in everything. Right. But I love to see the next generation taking it to another level and I love working with them. I love seeing, you know, just being a part of this next generation's, you know, flight. I love it. I love being on that plane.
Come on, come on. And I guarantee when you feel like that plane leaves you, it hurts your soul. So you make sure when the next flight comes around, you on there.
Yeah, exactly. Stay inspired, stay creative, please.
So I want to go into the moment that you would consider your first confirmation that, you know, your voice and gifts is what you're supposed to pursue with your life. Would you consider it, you know, working with Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, or would you consider it later down the road as you continue to develop? Like, you know, what part would you consider your first confirmation?
That I need to stay here?
Yes, and continue pursuing what you feel.
I'm going to tell you something. And if another songwriter will tell you, no, they're lying. I wanted to quit at a certain point after WH and MJ, you know, Whitney Houston and Michael. I wanted to quit after because of like you said, the game. The game is different from the art, because the game will drive you crazy. You will get tired of the game, you know? And I wanted to quit. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But having them as a part of my legacy, I'm like, if this is not God telling me, the greatest voice in the world, the greatest artist in the world, as far as I'm concerned, like telling me that this is what I am meant to do or meant to be, then I don't know what is. You know what I mean? So it definitely kept me in the game, you know, because I'll be a songwriter till I die. I'll be 105 and songs will still, you know, be in my mind, you know. It's always up to God. It's a gift from God. But if it's up to me, I'll write songs for the rest of my life, you know. So that was definitely a confirmation. And also hearing people say, oh, when you wrote that song, that was, you know, I dedicated that to my wife, you know, to my kids, or that got me out of trouble. I knew that I wanted to be a songwriter when I heard that song, or I bid off of you. I jacked your melody and I did it. Because when you start songwriting, that's how you start. You look for people that came before you and you gravitate towards their style and what they do, and you piggyback off of that, and then your style is born, you know? So when I inspire people, that is it's a no-brainer for me.
So as we're digging into the roots of inspiration when it comes to music, I gotta know, you know, what are you thinking when you hit the studio? Like, is there like okay, I need to have a Zen moment before I walk into this shrine? Or is there like, you know what, I need this vibe in here. I need this to be nothing but good times. Like, you know, what is the thoughts when you hit the studio?
There's a line. It's both. Because I came from a school that, you know, where Puffy was telling you to write 5 songs to 1 track. That is a person that taught me how to do this as a job. You have a job to do. Your job is to write a hot song, a hot record, you know? And he would pick the first idea that you came up with. Like, you would write 5 songs, but then he'd be like, that one's hot. The first one that you came up with, you know? Because as a songwriter, I do believe that instinct is paramount. That's what makes Eritza As. That's what makes a dream the dream, is his instinct as a songwriter, you know? So, but I know how to do this in a bad mood, in a good mood, with a headache, with a fever, with a flu. I can go in the studio and create, you know? But of course, a good vibe that's essential. You know what I mean? That takes it to another level. You know what I mean? A good vibe, good people, good artists. I've worked with so many rude artists. I've written singles for rude artists. I didn't have the most fun with them, but it's a single. You know what I mean? They drove me crazy, but it's a single. They, you know, so I know how to do this. You learn, you need, as a songwriter, you need to learn how to do this. If it's your career choice, make it a career, not just a job. You know what I mean? And I will change the word job to career. Learn to make this a career. Like, you know, the taxes part, you know, I tell people I'm a songwriter and they say, hey, good luck. No, it's been on my tax return for the last 20 years. Like, this is my career, you know? So learn how to make it your career in the whole, in its totality. You know what I mean? So there's so many people that in this industry that have taught me, you know, a jewel here, a jewel there, you know, from financial to creative. You know, I have to thank so many people. You drop a jewel, you get a jewel, you drop a jewel. You know what I mean? That's what it's about.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you're dropping gems, like, you know, you letting diamonds fly, and before they hit the ground, you letting them things shine like they're diamonds in the rough. You know, for those that don't know, you know, Eritza, she's from Panama, and Panama has a heavy presence on the Latin music market, especially reggaeton. They're, you know, considered one of the founders of the sound. And
no, I'm gonna stop you right there. The founders. Come on, Google it.
From the horse's mouth. From the horse's mouth. So what was it like?
I love Puerto Rico, but ustedes saben que fuimos nosotros.
Out to Panama. So what was it like going back to your roots and working on Latin sounds again for you, you know, in your career? Because you came in on this side, but you came back to the side that, you know, is really taking over the waves of when it comes to sound right now. I feel like reggaeton's starting to hit that same market and capital dollar as rap music, and when it comes to rock star status.
Yeah, everything. It was everything to be able to do Latin music and work with all these Latin artists. Nicky Jam, Prince Royce, Juanes. Shout out to Colombia, my neighbors. Sophia Reyes from Mexico. It's just CNCO. It just makes me feel as a songwriter like complete, you know, to go back to my roots and to make my mama proud. You know what I mean? Because she's like, okay, you're doing what, you know, you're going back to your roots, your family roots. But yeah, it's the same as, in terms of writing music, it's the same as writing any other genre, but I really feel like a kid. You know what I mean? When I'm in the studio, it really takes me back to being a kid and growing up in Panama and being there when reggaeton was so popular in Panama and coming up and you know, just being a baby and seeing people, you know, my brothers had friends that used to come and freestyle on our porch, all Spanish reggae. And so it takes me back to that. And God knows why he put certain things in front of you. Like, I didn't know that I was going to write this music one day. And it was, you know, as a baby right in front of me, being born, you know what I mean? So shout out to El General also, the godfather, right? Of reggaeton music. Yeah, it just makes me feel really proud to be Latina. Very, very proud.
I've had the honor of having Los Racas on my 3rd season, and, you know,
dying to work with them. Tell them that I'm dying to work with them.
I will. Well, shit, man, Rocka Rich, you know I'm finna give your number out. Sorry, Don, you know I'm finna give your number out. I need to run that. From Panama to Panama. Let's run.
Yes, I'm dying to work with them. Let's make some hits, guys. Come on.
See, there you go. All you got to do is open your mouth sometimes. So who do we owe to thank you for instilling the dream could be reality to you, and you could be writing and singing songs for the greatest artists in the world?
My mama. My grandfather, her dad, was doing the same exact thing that I'm doing today. And I had to grow up to learn that that's what he was doing. I wasn't raised with him, but when it's in your blood, it's in your blood. He wrote for Celia Cruz, Tito Puente, and a lot of the big salsa and Latin artists, you know, in the 60s and the 70s. Like, he was a big part of that. He traveled to Cuba, Mexico, and a lot of the Latin countries. And he wrote songs and was in their bands, and he was their MD. And I did not know that my grandfather was doing the same exact thing. So, you know, bloodline and my mom never telling me no, you know, no, you can't get on that plane. Because I started 12, 13. Very, very early. Wow. You know, yeah. So, you know, she used to let me go after school to the Def Jam building and you know, because my friends were like interns and they worked in the building. So that's actually how I got put on. But my mom for always supporting my dreams, you know. And I have a really good family. I have a good husband, you know, that supports me. I have friends that support me that always, you know, let me know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing and encourage me. I have a lot of encouragers.
See, that's a beautiful thing. That's, you know, everyone has to understand it takes a village to make some of these things come together. And, you know, as you're saying all this, it hits me like it's in her and she got to chase it. I wonder, you know, what are some of the things that teenage acts and parents of teenage acts that recognize their kids have gifts, how do they assert their kids into the world to, you know, achieve that? You know, when your daughter hits 8 years old and she starts singing like you and dancing like you.
She's singing now.
Oh, so when she's doing all that this age and, you know, your husband's like, she got it from you, what are you thinking on how to prepare her for her future?
Exposure is very, very key to just, I think, just child development, period. Your kids got to know what they're good at. You know what I mean? I didn't have a me as a mom, even though I knew I wanted to be a songwriter. But my daughter, she sings. She, you know, she was like 2 years old and she sang "Happy Birthday" to me, and she had a vibrato. I was like, well, I guess, "Happy Birthday." I was like, wow. She has a vibrato and she's 2, so I think that she's gonna sing. But, you know, I just try to encourage her, you know, anything. And I try not to push her, or you're going to be a singer, you're going to be a songwriter. I just tell her anything. If you choose to do what I do, because anything worth having is tough. You know, it's difficult. It's a climb. It's an uphill climb. So I try to prepare her anything that you want to do. Right now, she wants to be a teacher and a singer. So I'm like, you can do everything, you know what I mean? Anything that you want to do, but you have to apply yourself. And I just try to expose her. You know, I put her on the mic and record stuff with her. And every time she comes up with a melody, I tell her, you know, what's good about her melody and what's good about her. You know, people pay me to do that. So why wouldn't I do it for her for free? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You gotta extend everything to your children and extend all your gifts and all your gems and everything to your kids. So if you are, and then there's parents like my mom. She had no idea what the music industry was, but she just listened. Listen to your kids. Don't spoon feed them a career or something that they don't want to do. Because now, this generation now, it's the founders. They're going to recreate what we think, the wheel is the most, you know, dynamic, amazing invention. They're going to recreate. They're going to, you know, they're the ones that are going to build the flying cars. You know, the wheel was the biggest invention. Well, they're going to invent the flying cars, and they're going to invent the new music industry, where artists get to keep their publishing and money comes from another way. And, you know, did you see the new plan that Kanye came up with for it was like a new model for music business?
I didn't see it specifically. I've heard all the chatter about it.
But you heard about it? Well, the new generation is going to change everything. So listen to to your teenagers.
They're doing.
They're gonna remake everything. So we gotta listen, you know.
I will attest to the newer generation because they are changing the way how everything goes. I mean, it went from 360 deals being the number one thing to now people are really actually getting money again, and they're making sure that they show their value. And they're saying that, hey, this marketing dollars I'm putting into these social media translate to dollars to you because it's all, you know, accounted for. And I'm so impressed with these kids because they took something that we all thought was a system that wasn't broken, so why are you fixing it? And they fixed it so that now if you're a part of it, you know, you're going to get paid.
Right.
You got the, whatchamacallit from 2018, the Music Moderation Act. And the Music Moderation Act really allowed for people that, you know, created stuff in the 90s, early 2000s, and prior that weren't getting any royalties for the radio play because they were on a older network and it wasn't something that was regenerated, now gets paid. And producers get paid more. Engineers get percentages now. There's all types of elevation because of these young generations are saying, man, we're also focused on everyone at the top, but the cream of the crop is everybody involved. Otherwise, you're going to have this big old souffle effect where it drops.
Exactly. It's like you created a monster. Like the industry, the heads of the industry created a monster where they actually droughted their own industry. So now you can't even make money off your own industry, off the artist. They even tapped out inspiration for a while. Artists were kind of like, what's the point for a while? You know what I mean? But now the days of the great white knight coming in to save the artist, the great white knight being a record label, you know, those days are over. Now you can everything is at your fingertips. You can make your own label. You can create your own fan base, which is the most important thing, you know, and you could sell your music today. That's why I took the quarantine, the time I had in quarantine, and put my own music out. I stopped saying, I'm gonna put my own music out, and just did it. I finally just did it. I got tired of people asking me, where's your music? Where's your music? Where's your music? I'm like, oh, on other people's albums. And I started realizing that I'm in a different era now where people don't understand that as a songwriter, my music is solely on other people's albums. People were like, well, you could sing, you're cute, you have a personality, like where's your music? Where's, you know, where can I hear you? No, I want to hear you. I just kept hearing that over and over and over again for years. So I finally put a single out, and my EP will be out at the top of next year, and another single will be out before the year's out.
So look at you. And I feel like sometimes you're reading my questions, even though you have never seen my lineup. Because my next question is what's one thing people have fucked up when they think of a songwriter? And you sort of just took that answer away. And it's like, you know, I don't even think I can ask that question again.
I can answer that. I think that people have fucked up or wrong about a songwriter is that, you know what I dislike? Like on Love and Hip Hop and like the reality shows, where people are like drinking champagne and they're like, it's a hit. That's not how it works. I don't go to work, you know, I may have a glass of champagne here and there, but it's hard work. It's a focused job. It takes focus. Like, it's not just like, you know, hat, sat, mat, yeah, we got to hit. Like, it's just like, that's what the TV paints it as. And I think that's why there's not a lot of, there's like, they've tried to do like successful reality shows based around songwriting, but you cannot capture that magic on camera. Songland, I like that show, by the way, Songland, but you can't ever capture the magic. The songs are pre-written and then they're fixed. But putting a camera in the room with songwriters and telling them to go, you'll never be able to capture the magic and how it really is magic.
You know what? You over here giving me ideas now. I'm like, oh, I know how to capture that.
Do you? Please do it, because every day I'm at work, I'm like, and it's just an amazing session. I'm like, if there was a fly on the wall, maybe, but there's no way you could have captured, so-and-so, this artist was next door in a session, and then they came over and added 16 bars, and then we did, like, you can't, that magic, especially like in New York, how studios are like down the street from each other, or there's like, the vibe in New York is very free. Like the LA's a little bit different, but in New York, people collaborate a little bit more.
I'm from LA. I mean, I was raised like Bakersfield in LA, but I was born in LA. One thing I give credit to LA right now, they are moving all the studios out of Hollywood into North Hollywood and Burbank. So everything is literally like a block and a turn away from each other from other sessions.
And the vibe is more
cohesive
and friendly, I guess. You know what I mean? Open.
Because I'm seeing a lot of producers, especially out here, get amazing opportunities because you have this studio that's right here and next door, two buildings down, that doesn't look like a studio is a studio. Or you got brothers like Chris Brown buying a whole shopping center, and he's having other parts off of people to buy those units to make into studios. No, you got those type of things going on so that you can say, dang, I seen Mozzie and Chris Brown in the same spot, and they have a place together. Like, you wouldn't think of that, but that's how people are moving. And it's I give the credit to New York. I give credit to Atlanta, because the unity of environments is really allowing for other areas to embrace each other.
Right. And that's what it's about. It's about embracing each other. And that's how these records, were born in the 70s and in the 60s, and, the whole Motown era and that whole artist development thing, and everybody was on each other's song, whether it was as a songwriter, as a background vocalist, come here, can you do these backgrounds for me?
Shout
out,
what
I mean? Like, that's just magic.
Come on, the Funk Brothers. We wouldn't have the Temptations. We wouldn't have the Four Tops. We wouldn't have half of what we have from Motown. And I'm a big fan of Motown without the Soul Brothers. And, without all these different elements it was 20 different members in a group.
Yeah.
And a few of them did everything, but majority of them did just one thing.
Yeah.
That's something that, that was developed. I mean, who has artist development where you're gone for 3 months and you're on like boot camp?
That's what I'm saying. Like, the time that we have now in this quarantine, you should be artists. Like, you guys should be taking it to develop yourself, to hone in on your craft, to reach out to people, to network. Now you can hit people on DM. So many people have hit me on DM, from new songwriters to established producers, to collaborate and to ask questions and to just network. Like, now is the time to sharpen to sharpen up and take the time out. Don't just wait for somebody to knock on your door. And a lot of people, I think that they hit me and they don't expect me to hit them back. And when I hit them back, they're like, I'm like, do you have anything that I could hear? Do you have any? No, but imagine if they did.
See, that's wasting a moment, wasting an opportunity. I've been that teenager that knew people, and because you think of an idea and you just say, hey, I'm going to call the first person I see that looks like this, that can help me, and you're not prepared, not only do you make yourself look like an ass, but your reputation looks like an ass too. And, it's shitty. It's not good whenever you put yourself out like that. Granted, there's very few humble people like yourself that may give another one another chance so that they can, represent themselves and the opportunity comes. But they also have to come correct the second time, or there won't be a third time.
Right. Or maybe not a second time. You know what I mean? Like, you have to take your time out to prepare. And then, especially if you have the kind of access that everybody has now, take advantage of it. Really be methodical. It's a game of chess. You know what I mean? Think about how you're going to approach the situation. Because now it's about creating your own doors. It's about really drawing your own doors, you handle, and pushing your own door through. It's not about seeing a door or a window of opportunity and crack. That's not anymore. Now it's at another level. The grind is at another level. You got to create your own doors now.
No, I give a lot of love to the PRs because the PRs is really making the world go around when it comes to media and being able to have these conversations or have connections to these people. But at the same time, it also stands for preparation and relationships. Preparation and relationships. That's the real PR that everyone has to have. Because if you're prepared for everything and you have the relationship, sky's the limit on what you're going to do. Because if stuff makes sense for people and it's a win-win, why do you not want to pursue it? And, that is the basis why I have this show, because people are afraid of success.
Right. Oh my God. Zylo, that is like the number one, like, self-sabotage. Artists are self-sabotagers. Like, we really are, and when that's like a growth that we have to get over in order to really become successful in this business, is to stop. Procrastination is self-sabotage.
Yes.
Even like going out the night before you really have to do something important and showing up with a hangover, self-sabotage. You know what I mean? The fun artists, like, those days, you have to get organized and you have to really be there for yourself before anybody can be there for you. You really have to set your goals and keep them, you know what I mean? And follow through with things. I really, really believe that self-sabotage is a really, really, really big, it's a big, big thing with artists that I see.
When you think of self-sabotage, she's specifically speaking about when you could see yourself in the mirror, but it doesn't match the same thing that you're actually getting back. You could see this wonderful person that's moving, but in reality of what you're living today is not the same person. It's a smoky mirror. And when you sabotage yourself, you're feeding into that smoke instead of clearing the smoke and getting closer to what you're supposed to see.
Yeah. And I had my like space and time with they call it and when I heard this term, I was like, wow, I actually suffered from that at a point. It's called imposter syndrome. Like you said, people are afraid of success, right? This was my version of fear of success. I was like, did I really do that? Do I really belong here? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Are they really believing who I am? Am I, you know what I mean? So I had to get over that and step into myself. Sometimes your shoes become a little bit too big for yourself, and you can suffer from imposter syndrome. Am I really that person that they think that I am? And you have to grow into those shoes and grow into the things that you've done. Because sometimes the grind will go so fast and you'll be working with your head down so long that when you put your head up, your discography is a scroll, and you've worked for how many years, and you've done this and you've done that, and you've done this award and that award, and you don't even realize that you've done the work because you're so busy working and working and working and working. And you never had a chance to look up and say, congratulations, you did that thing. You know what I mean?
And you know what? That is when humility affects reflection. I'm going to say that one more time. That is when humility affects reflection. And, there's very important times that you have to say it's okay to reflect on small wins. Yes, big wins are necessary to say, yes, that was great. But small wins, because that is what allows you to be like, hey, I am on the right task. I'm on the right course, and can't no one take this away from me. Right. When you do keep that head down energy and move forward, yes, you'll make huge, huge waves on what you're doing. But sometimes when you look up, you'll be 12 feet underneath water and not realize that you had a scuba tank hooked up next to you, and they're wondering why you're walking like that.
Right, exactly. So these are things that all artists have to look out for. These are like little valleys, you know what I mean? That we have to learn to climb ourselves out of. But I really did suffer from that, from imposter syndrome, but
I completely understand. Trust me, because without me being able to sit up sometimes and see what I'm doing and reflect and say, yeah, that was great. That was great. And have that moment of reflection for myself, I would be just like you, where I'm like, I'm around all these people all the time, and it's like, I'm not supposed to be here. Just last year, I was managing a restaurant, and you take that with you, not realizing that you weren't supposed to be the manager in the restaurant. You're supposed to manage your life in other situations.
But you took the skill, you know, with you. And that's what was important about it. You know what I mean? That's why you were there.
Exactly. Now, I got to ask this before I transition out, because, girl, we done went almost all the way through our time without even going.
This is a fun conversation.
Oh, I've had a blast. It's an amazing opportunity to speak to you. You know, but I got to ask, this is a personal question, because a lot of us like to wear hats. We like to do 5, 6, 7, 8 things. Personally, I created the show. I host the show. I do all the background for it. I'm an A&R. I'm Marvin Gaye III's personal assistant. And then I'm trying to do documentaries. Like, I'm constantly trying to evolve, because when I left this world of trying to work for somebody and make them a whole bunch of money and not make
I gotta just clap, because that's the times that we're in. I have to clap for your entrepreneurial spirit right now. It's important to be your own boss.
And it's received. Right. And
yes.
that's the thing. It's being received. When the universe receives what you're doing, what you manifest, and it comes out. And it comes out fast. Like, I went from one thing in emotion to the next. Like, how the hell did I get here? And, you know, it's funny now that we're talking about it. I quit my job. I've talked about it maybe 3 times on my show. I quit my job working at Rusty's. I ran a pizza place. I made $1 million, 60% in sales increase for my time being there. And, you know, I made them a ton of money, and I come from the streets. So, like, if I feel like this environment is supposed to be a safety zone, a safe haven, I'm not going to allow no crazy stuff in there. So I will kick people out that are crazy. And I have no problem with that. And
like it was your business.
Yes. Like, you know, there's mentalities to what you do. You're either going to be an employee, a supervisor mentality, a manager mentality, or owner mentality. And I ran it like I owned it, even though I knew it wasn't mine. And so I kicked guy out. Long story short, he got upset. He was a gang member. He came back. He said, threatened me. I come to work with a gun. I'm ready to handle business if I get into problems, because I'm trying to get home to my wife and kids. Long story short, that didn't kick me out the job. That actually made me like, oh, this is going to be a thrill. The streets are always a thrill. So that didn't bother me. I got into an argument with the owner, and then I quit. And, you know, this is back in May 30th of 2019. I quit. I come home. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are both there, and they were talking to my wife outside. I'm like about to cry, because I don't know how I'm going to tell them I'm going to take care of their daughter and their grandchildren, because that's my job. I'm a provider. You know, I take that stuff serious. And they said, son, this is the best thing to ever happen to you. And I'm like, I'm literally.
God bless them.
And little did I know, I tried to go do real estate, and a big prominent radio person out here that didn't want to give me a job, by the way, and led me to start my own podcast. He told me to stay away from music, because if you do real estate, this town won't allow you to do music. And so I was like, okay. The very next day, God sent me a message saying that, hey, you're going to the BET Experience and you're going to the BET Awards. And I was a seat filler. I somehow got it, and I ran into my best friend from college, and now I'm with him at the after party. And I'm at DJ Khaled's after party. I'm with Johnny Gill's entourage. Like, this stuff is like, you know, out of a movie. And then it happens again. 2 months later, I go to the Trumpet Awards, or 3 months later, Trumpet Awards. And then a month after that, I go to the NAACP Awards. And I hit after party at each event, and I'm VIP for everyone, and I'm just a seat filler. And I was like, what is God trying to show me? Because I feel it. I'm telling people after the first, I'm going to be at this after party. I don't know how. I don't know when. I just don't know. I don't even know where it's at. And somehow, boom, I buying a VIP ticket on the ground. I put it on my neck. Or I promise you, I walked over to Lisa Ray at the Trumpet Awards. I saw her. I was across from her. I walked over there. Right before I got to her, I looked down, and there was a lanyard with the VIP pass on it for a network thing. And I picked it up. My spirit said that was for me. And
I mean, if you don't believe that, I don't know what. That was definitely meant for you.
It happened to me again at the NAACP Awards.
That's
and my mind still wasn't right from these transitions. Like, I just started the show in December. So at this point, by the time I get to the NAACP Awards, I've been doing the show for a couple of months. And I don't think in my mind is to push my show to people. I think in my mind it's free liquor. I get to party with people. I'm going to live the best life I've ever lived because you know what? My wife's taking care of the kids and I'm with my friends. We're going to enjoy this free alcohol and free food.
Yeah.
And when else can you just turn up with celebrities and like, you know, they have a ball. And so when you having a ball with them, you don't think about networking and figuring it all out.
That's crazy though. But one of my favorite things, Zylo, is when people say, I quit my job. I love hearing that. I love when people say, I quit my job. Because now, what are you going to do now?
Oh, God is so
the
great.
Best thing. What are we doing now? Are we going to sell cupcakes out your kitchen? Like, what are you going to start a cupcake business? Are you going to become a makeup artist because your makeup is so nice? Like, my friend's like, what are we doing now? So how can I support you? What are you going to do? Are you going to cut that record? Are you going to start, like, what are we doing now? You know what I mean? Are you going to go get that degree that you wanted? What are we doing? You know what I mean? I love when people say that. It's just like freedom to me.
And so you know,
congratulations to you. I love your show. I love your line of questioning. I think it's so unique. It's so much fun. It's just not like the regular, like cookie cutter questions, like line of questioning. Like, I love it. And I feel like you have so much more to give.
Yes.
You know, so much more in store.
I totally do. I'm not going to even front on that. But sometimes there's this thing called time, and time sometimes runs into other time. And so we got to find a way to break bread and make everybody happy.
Yes. But take your time. You know what it is? You just finish everything.
Oh, yeah. No, I take
and
this.
One foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
I had to learn okay, you have 1,000 ideas. Okay, 1 foot in front of the other. 1 foot in front of the other. You know? And you get it done. You get everything done that way. That's how everything gets done, actually. You know what I mean? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, just 1 foot in front of the other.
See, when you used to run a kitchen and they do $1,500 hours with only another person to help you, you sort of figure out how to do 4 or 5 things at once, how to let people know what to expect so that they don't get upset that they're waiting 45 minutes. You just figure out how to move. And when you take that same energy of like, you know what, stop trying to be in the energy of it's so much pressure, so much going on, tick out one thing at a time. Boom, 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 boom. It's going to get done.
You know what? Not to cut you off, Zylo. When you were doing that job, there was a feeling that you gave and that you felt. There was like an instinct that you had when you were running that kitchen or that restaurant that made you as good as you were. That made you that good of a manager. You know what I mean? There's an instinct that you have that not everybody else has, and that's what you continue to take with you. You know, with your podcast, with your interviewing, with your A&R, and with that instinct is what's gonna always make you special.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's Contrast Uncut. It's season 4, episode 21. I want to give a big shout out to Uncle Snoop's Army and Bobby D Presents. I appreciate you, brothers. I wouldn't be able to do incredibly dope shit like talk to Eritza about her career and talk about her HERstory, you know, going from TV to singing on the biggest records in the world, to singing with the greatest acts in the world, and being so humble and down to earth, and just being so transparent on the show. Thank you so much, Queen. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Zylo. I love talking to you. Anytime you want to chop it up, I'm here. We here.
Hey,
I wish you the best of luck with everything that you do. I love it. I love it all.
Thank you. Thank you. I really humbly do appreciate that.
Hey, this is Eritza As, and I'm here on Contrast Uncut. Shout out to Snoop and Bobby D. Love you.
Look how it all begun. Bum skibbity bum. Yeah, grew up on that Nas, on that L, on that pun. Oh, so when I was young, crisscross make them jump. Battle rapping for respect, my nigga. This ain't what you want. Can I kick it when I'm rhyming? Be a legend through Ebonics. Was a sticker boy. Felt like sticky.
Man, I know you guys can't smell this right now, and I ain't talking about none of that other stuff. I'm talking about some of that good stuff, that smell good stuff. I think it's breakfast. What time is it? It's breakfast time. Make sure you tune in to Contrast Uncut no matter what you're doing. Whether you're eating breakfast, you're smelling good food like I'm smelling, or if you're smelling other stuff, we're good to watch too. Make sure you tune in. Thank you.